You could be my pre-HYROX. Gotta thug it out. Check the sonics. Gotta thug it out.
Hello everyone and welcome officially to the HYROX vlog. I can't believe I'm actually saying that. Tomorrow is the day. We are racing at 12 p.m. noon, so I thought night before I would check in with you and give you an update on what we've been getting up to, how I'm feeling. I ate a little bit higher carb than normal today, of course, to prep for the race, and then for dinner I had a big bowl of rice with some dumplings on top. And then this afternoon I just kind of like packed my bag. I watched a walkthrough of the venue and kind of like checked out the map, what to expect. Anyway, I've got my outfit laid out. I have everything ready to go for tomorrow morning. We have to leave by like 8:30-ish, so not too bad. I would say I'm feeling fine. Not quite excited, but I'm also not really that nervous. I would say the only thing, I just really want to do my best, and I'm not sure what that will look like, but I want to finish feeling like I left it all out there, you know? Looking back, I do wish I had a little bit more time to train, especially in the running department. I think the running is my weakest link in terms of the competition, which if you're not familiar with HYROX, let me put up on the screen a description of all the different stations and what the race looks like. And I will be competing in the mixed doubles category, which means that I will be doing the men's open weights with my boyfriend Cal. Anyway though, my running could definitely use some work, and I feel like because we moved in the beginning of April, obviously that move took a lot of time and logistics and coordination, so my training was not peaking during the couple of months leading up to the move, and then also once we arrived. The point is, I feel like I'm going into this a little bit undertrained. There's absolutely nothing I can do about it at this point except for get out there and have fun, so I'm just trying to be a good vibe and a good energy, but I'm dreading it a little bit just because I'm worried I'm going to be disappointed with my times and my stats. But yeah, my goal for tomorrow is to be under an hour and a half. So my evening plans include chilling on the couch, finishing packing up my bag, and that's about it. So yeah, I will check in with you tomorrow morning.
I like don't want much coffee. We're gonna raw high rocks today.
Yeah,
Did you already had chocolate tears?
we are all packed up, ready to go. It's about 8:35, so I'm feeling pretty good. Honestly, I had a great night's sleep last night. I woke up feeling excited, well rested, ready to rock and roll. So yeah, we're gonna head out.
You could be my pre-HYROX. Gotta thug it out. Check the sonics. Gotta thug it out.
Well, folks, here you have it. All of that for a patch. Welcome to the 2026 Sydney Hyrox debrief. So let's rewind to arriving at the venue and before the race. So we walked around a little bit after we checked in, and I would say the DJ, the energy, the actual space itself that they hosted the Hyrox in was beautiful. It was very well done. And then checked in our bags, headed over to the warm-up area. I definitely didn't expend too much energy in the warm-up section, but I did go through almost all of the exercises at a lightweight, a slow pace. I'll put all the details on the screen, but if you see me looking down, I have my phone here with our stats. Let's jump right into the actual race recap, how everything went. Even though I told myself not to, I couldn't help it. I did come in really hot. When we were in the starting tunnel, they were playing music, they had a countdown. It was like a little bit cheesy, to be honest with you, but I was also having a lot of fun and I got really excited. Our first run came in at 4:36, so much faster than the remaining runs. Even just that first step out of the starting tunnel, I was like, okay, we're here. There's nothing else I can do. There's nothing else I'm missing. I just have to go out there, have fun, and do my best. So that was a little bit of a relief. And when we went into the ski erg, our first station, we were one of the first there in our age group. So I was like, wait, hold on. Are we competitive? Spoiler, we were not competitive in our age group. The ski erg is one of those stations where the switch is pretty easy and quick. So we switched frequently to give ourselves a little bit of time to recover our heart rate. Our ski final time was 4:18. Everyone's fresh, we're energized, we're having a good time. I'm like, this is easy. This is easy. What was I even worried about? This is no big deal. Okay, so we run out of the ski back into our second run. This was the first time I really started to understand the Sydney course, which every HYROX course is different, but Sydney in particular has a lot of running. When we ran from the ski to the out tunnel to then start our next run, I was like, man, it was pretty far to run from the ski to even just start our run again. And that's when it started to hit me that there was gonna be a lot of running today, probably a lot more running than I had trained for and prepared for. We get to run 2 and immediately we're at a 5:22 time. So clearly that starting the race fun energy has worn off, but I was still feeling really good at this point. Going into the sled push, I have to give a major shout out. I mean, I have to give a lot of shout outs to my boyfriend Cal and my HYROX mixed doubles partner, because he really carried the team in so many ways, particularly in the heavyweights, because if you're not familiar with the HYROX mixed doubles, both partners, whether you are male or female, are gonna do the men's open weights. So for the most part, these weights were very heavy for me. So I think we ended up doing a 70-30-ish split. Cal did the majority of the sled push, but I did do my half lengths. I think I did maybe one full length in total by myself, and our sled time was 1 minute and 47 seconds. So we get into run 3 and I'm still feeling really good. I can tell Cal is a little bit tired out from doing so much of the sled push. The sled stuff just gets your heart rate so high, and what sucks is that it's so early in the race. So yeah, I was definitely trying to pace myself along with Cal, not go too fast, not burn out, but you can already tell our run times are starting to slow down and they're starting to settle into what I would call our normal run pace, which is about a 6 to a 6:30 kilometer. So our third run was 5 minutes and 42 seconds. And by the way, if I haven't mentioned it, these runs are give or take about 1K, except for the last lap, which don't worry, we'll talk about the last lap. So we get to the sled pull. I'm feeling pretty good at this point because again, I'm just not doing that much on the sleds, but I did the second half of 2 of the sled runs. So Cal was doing, again, the majority of the sled. But I will say I was surprised by how difficult the rope management was on the day of with the other competitors, like in the lanes next to you. You need to keep your rope out of their lane, but also try not to trip over it, because during training, I did actually trip and fall on my ass. So I didn't want to do that at the actual competition. I've heard some horror stories about the turf at other venues where it'll be bubbling and it'll make it so much harder to like push or pull the sled because it's catching on the ground, but they had it locked down in Sydney. They had it completely flat and I thought the sleds moved very smoothly. Our sled pull time was 3:54, which I think is not that great. No, I think it's actually okay. I'm looking at rankings as I'm saying this to kind of get a sense, but pulling a sled by a rope is crazy. If you've never tried it, which I hadn't prior to training for the HYROX, oh my God, it's so hard. In order for me to actually get the sled to move, I have to get so low to the ground and literally put my entire body weight into it. The sled pull was by far my worst station, my hardest station, so thank you so much to Cal for carrying the team on that. Run 4 was 6 minutes, and this was when I started to get concerned because I was like, okay, we have more than half the competition left. During the run, I was struggling a little bit, not to keep moving, but just like I could feel the lactic acid buildup in my body. My quads were starting to feel some type of way. I started to get a side ache and I would have to like walk a little bit and then run, walk a little bit and then run. And I was like, it is so early in this race to be walking already. I was using the RoxFit app on my Apple Watch to try and track our estimated race time, trying to see if we were gonna be able to make it under 90 minutes because that was our goal. And I was starting to get nervous at this point because it was forecasting us at like 125 and I was like, oh no. So we have to hold this pace pace. And then we get into the burpee broad jumps, okay? Let me set the scene for you. For the last few months, I have been talking a big game about the burpee broad jumps and how if Cal does the sleds, most of the sleds, I will do most of the burpee broad jumps. I come off of that run 4 and I'm like, I've made a grave mistake. I have made a grave mistake because now I'm in charge of these burpees. Cal is completely cooked from doing all the sled stuff. I'm like, okay, I gotta lock in. For me, the problem wasn't getting to the ground. I had a strategy, as you'll see in the videos, I kind of like stepped my legs in rather than jumping in just because it conserved a little bit more energy. Let me tell you, if you think burpees are hard jumping vertically, the broad jump is diabolical. Obviously, you expend a lot of energy doing the burpee, getting onto the floor and standing back up. So once you've stood back up, you need to jump as far as possible, but I was so exhausted by this point. My jumps were getting shorter and shorter. So Cal kept tapping me out because his jumps were freaking crazy. He was crossing the whole distance of the burpees in like 3 jumps, which is insane. Did I let the team down a little bit on the burpees? Yeah, I think I did. The self-proclaimed burpee queen, not really living up to that title. So I was cooked coming out of that station. Like, I'm pretty sure there's footage of me bent over, breathing heavily in the rock zone before we were meant to go out and do another run. Cause I was like, oh no, we still have so much left to do at this point. Run 5, we came in at 6:23. Again, I am not feeling good. At this point, I'm like, my chest is on fire. I was so relieved by the time that we got into the row because many people, myself included, consider the row to be the rest and recover station, which is so funny because prior to training for HYROX, I would have been like, rowing sucks, I hate rowing. Now, within the context of HYROX, rowing is a treat. But the row is a really hard one to switch. You have to take your feet out of the strap, stand up, the other person has to get in, strap in, whatever, grab the actual handles. So because that switch took so much time, we decided to switch less frequently, which I think ended up being a good choice. Cal did 600 meters and then I did the last 400. Our time ended up being 5 minutes flat. At this point, I was really having to lock in. I was suffering. I could not catch my breath no matter what. I think all the photos and videos of me, I will be, again, bent over, just like sucking air. Where are we? Run 6, 5:47. Hey, go team. We're a little bit quicker on this one. I think we were recovered from the row a little bit. And this was about the point where I was thinking, this has to be longer than the 8K runs that I was training. The laps are 1K. So obviously you're going to be running more than 1K because you have to go around between the stations and everything like that. The layout of the Sydney Hyrox was insane with the amount of running you had to do because it was all very like long, which meant between every station you were going back and forth. Anyway, I digress. Okay, we get into the farmer's carry and this was the sleeper station for me. I was so happy at this station. I was so locked in. I did probably twice the distance I've ever been able to do at my gym. The kettlebells did not feel that heavy to me. This station is really nice because if you start to like run, fast walk, or jog even with the kettlebells, it's just over so much faster. And I was like, let's get out of here. Farmer's carry, a minute 58. According to the ranking, that's not great, but I was very happy with that time. I felt like we were moving and grooving. So we go out for run 7 and I have a little bit of a renewed sense of energy coming from the kettlebell situation. We hit a 5:54 lap, which I think is pretty good, but my legs were starting to feel it and I just felt really tight all over my body. And at this point in the race, you're just exhausted. And this was where I feel like I hit my wall of, I have not trained enough for this. The sandbag lunge is where I made a grave error. The weight was so heavy. For me, it was a 20 kg sandbag on my back. And up until the last few months that I've been training for HYROX specifically, I had never done sandbag lunges and I'd never done lunges really with weight on my back. My quads were on fire. Like they were absolutely cooked. I was targeting to do about half of the lunges and that's how Cal and I trained to split it 50-50, but I was tapping out early and having to hand it back to him. And unfortunately, the sandbag is a pretty tough transition. We get to the end of the sandbags. I am seeing stars at this point, okay? I'm reaching a personal pain cave that I have not reached for so long. But we get to the end of the lunges and again, it's a slow transition. So I didn't want to hand the bag back to Cal. I didn't want to rest. I was like, I need to get the hell out of here. I need to get out of here. So I just went for it and I like tore through the end of the sandbags. I think our sandbag time was pretty good. Yeah, I think it was our best. Yeah, the sandbag time was our best ranking in our age for any run or station in the entire race. And that was a mistake. Our sandbag lunge time ended up being 3:46. When I put the sandbag down, I literally was bent over. I was like, I cannot breathe. I took myself past the point of no return. I need a solid 10 or 15 seconds by the sandbag drop off to catch my breath. One thing to note about the Sydney course is that the last lap is unbelievably long. It is almost 2 kilometers. I think the actual number someone tracked it was like 1.7 or 1.8K. We start run 8 and Cal's like, come on, we just need to start moving. Even if we walk, we just need to start moving because both of us are looking at the time and it's getting close. All this training, all this prep, everything we've done leading up to this race, our goal was 90 minutes. I was like, we need to get this. So I start walking. I'm just like, just walk, just start the lap walking. I can't even walk. I have a side stitch. I cannot breathe. And at this point, I started to feel so nauseous. I was like, I'm going to throw up on the side of this track, which is just ridiculous. Okay, so Cal is like fully in coach mode. And by the way, he has been my #1 hype man this entire race. He's like cheering for me, hyping me up, like patting me on the back. I just keep saying, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm gonna ruin this for us. And he's like, no, it's fine. It's okay. But I think on that last lap, I said probably 10 times, I am so sorry. I'm ruining this for us. So our run 8 ended up being 9:51. Somehow we make it. At this point, I am completely disassociated. I cannot hear anything but the sound of my own breathing. Looking at the video footage afterwards, and judges are talking to me, saying stuff to me. I did not hear a word that was said to me. Absolutely no one was home. The way that we split the wall balls was we basically just did as many as we could. So like anywhere from 10 to 15 a person, and then switch. And if there was ever a point where one of us needed a break or a breather, we would just switch because again, this was a station that had an easy, quick switch. As soon as the judge pointed that we were all good, we could go, I sprinted for the stage, and so did Cal. There was another couple in front of us that were like racing and getting cute photos of them crossing the finish line, and they like grabbed hands and whatever. I was so worried. I hadn't checked the time at all. I was so worried that we weren't gonna get under 90 because of me. I sprinted to that stage. Cal and I crossed onto the stage, like completely on opposite sides of each other. And we had to like walk around this couple, and the video clip is so funny. We like pat each other on the back once, and that's basically it because both of us were so cooked. But you guys, I look up onto the screen and we got under 1:30. I could not believe it. Our final time for the wall balls was 4:52, and our total time in the rock zone was 10:23. Main reason for that is probably that we did a lot of walking in the rock zone, especially if we had a harder station we needed to recover from. We would just walk to the out arch and then start our running lap. And that brings us to our final finish time, which is 1 hour, 29 minutes, and 12 seconds. So, and then I got my beautiful little patch and I went home. So there you have it. I wanted to have a little bit of an honest chat about how I was feeling after the race because my goal was to get under 90 and I hit my goal. So you would think like, oh, that's great. I fell into the comparison trap so badly. When we finished, there were men's pro competitors who had started 30 to 45 minutes after us and were finishing at the same time as us. So that was the first thing that I was like, man, I felt very slow. And then I, of course, get on social media like I do. And you know, you see stuff where people are like, oh, I did the men's pro solo and my time was, 1:15. And that's so bad. I'm so disappointed with that. And I'm like, oh, our gym did like a HYROX training program and we had a group chat where everyone was in. So I was watching a lot of people, like our friends from the classes, seeing their times and whatnot. Our finish time was probably the slowest out of anyone at our gym. I wish I was kidding. I think we were actually the slowest. Then to wrap it all up, I opened the RoxFit app where you can see all of your stats and your time and everything like that. And it gives me my ranking within my age group. And we were in the 74th percentile, which in this case means that only a quarter of people who did the race were slower than us. So that was just not making me feel great. And honestly, I could have gone without that information. I really didn't need to know that because my opinion on the race changed so much from walking across the finish line to the following days after. I was honestly really down on myself. And it sounds kind of silly to say now because over the last couple weeks, I've had some time to think about it and reflect, and my opinion has totally changed. But in those first few days, I didn't even want to talk to anyone about it. I was so embarrassed and ashamed, and especially because I felt like I was the reason between Cal and I that our team got the time that we did. I think if he was doing it with someone who was more at his level in terms of like running speed and able to like pull their weight a little bit more, he probably could have gotten like a 120 or a 115. Honestly, he's so fit. There were times where I wondered if I would even release this vlog at all because I was so embarrassed and felt so like unfit and why did I even do this? It's now been like a week or two since the race and I've had a lot of time to reflect. I want to say first of all that with any fitness event like this, whether it's a marathon or the HYROX, whatever, you already have a sample of such fit, motivated, driven people. I honestly am probably never going to look at my ranking for an event like this again. I simply do not care because comparing yourself to these incredible athletes it's not useful, it's not helpful, it's not helping me progress in my own fitness, my own goals, it's not motivating me. It was just making me feel bad about myself. It was making me want to never do a HYROX again because I was embarrassed. That's the ridiculous thought patterns that I was having. So I was like, you know what? I need to stop looking at HYROX stuff on social media. I need to take a little bit of a break. I have fortunately started to feel a lot better. I really gave 100% of what I had on that day. There was absolutely nothing left in the tank for me, and that is is never something to be embarrassed or ashamed of, ever. There's so much that I would do differently now that I have actually done the race if I were to do one in the future, but there was absolutely nothing I could have done on that day to change the outcome. So that was something that gave me a lot of peace, and also just trying to shift my energy and be proud of myself for putting myself out there, for trying something new, for doing something that I'm not an expert at, that I'm not at the elite level, that I'm not amazing at. Because as someone who is very much a perfectionist, I've struggled for a lot of my life with a fear of failure, and that will dictate what I do a lot of the times. Honestly, I tend to avoid things that I'm not going to be immediately good at because I get very uncomfortable when I'm not good at things. I think this was an excellent exercise in pushing myself, and yeah, finishing at the bottom quarter of my age group, that is like really hard for me mentally, but it's good for me. It's good to do new things. It's good to push yourself. So I really wanted to make this video because I know I'm probably not the only person that feels this way, like finishing towards the bottom of your age group for whatever fitness event you're doing. You know, it's hard to be a beginner. It is humbling to be a beginner. I think we just see so much content of athletes and even like fitness professionals at the elite level. It's easy to forget what I guess like a normal person would look like doing these things and how it would feel. I think if there was more content out there around it, it would help all of us to put ourselves out there, because yeah, I think it is kind of daunting to ever want to do a HYROX when all you see on social media is people finishing with like a 105 time, and you're like, I can never do that, so why even bother? But yeah, I really think it's so fun to have a fitness event to train for. I feel like it really motivated me, and it got me out running so much more, which is great because I've tried so many times to work on my running and I always fall off, but this was the one thing I feel like that really got me to stick with it, which has been so fun. I really loved meeting people at my gym who were doing the event as well. The actual event the day of was so much fun. The energy was good. I would say if you're watching this video thinking about if you would want to do a HYROX or even any fitness event, but you are on the beginner side, you like me would probably be finishing towards the bottom of your age group, I would say absolutely, absolutely, it is worth doing. Even if you are the absolute last person across that finish line, it is so worth doing, because I think especially as we get older, it's so important to be a beginner, to try and fail at things. I mean, if you cross the finish line, it's not a failure. I think even just showing up, it's not a failure, even if you can't finish the race, but I think it's good for us. I think it's good for me. So I'm feeling very happy with it, even though I think I have more in the tank in terms of my training strategy. There's so many things I would do if I did a HYROX again in the future, which as of now, no plans to, but I think I do need to do a round 2. I was thinking about doing the Melbourne one in December. I think that's a little too soon for me. I think maybe I'll be back for Sydney 2027. All in all, it was such a fun experience. I'm so glad I did it. I'm so happy that we barely managed to get under our goal time. And if you're looking for a sign to be a beginner at something, to try something new, to push yourself, I hope this is your sign. So anyway though, I really hope you enjoyed this vlog. I had so much fun filming it and making it for you. If you'd like to see more from me, make sure to subscribe because I upload new videos every week, and I will see you next time.